Welcome to the 12 Days of Christmas Fat Loss Edition. For the next 12 days, we're diving into the real strategies and tools that actually help women lose stubborn fat after 40. Not trends, not extremes, and definitely not more willpower. And yes, we're still releasing our regular weekly episodes too, so make sure you follow the show so you don't miss a day. Let's get into today's truth. I'm going to say something that might sound dramatic, but once I say it, it's going to feel obvious. No wonder women are so chronically sick. And when I say sick, I'm not talking about the flu or a cold, and I'm definitely not talking about the other end of the spectrum with a life-threatening disease. I am talking about women not feeling well. Not at their best, not in their bodies, not in their energy, not in their hormones. And society has normalized women feeling this way because conventional medicine just doesn't know what to do with this cluster of symptoms. So when I say chronically sick, I mean things like diagnosed with IBS, chronic migraines, painful periods, PMS. Like even the slightest bit of PMS is not normal. Hypothyroidism, so the symptoms might look like cold hands and feet, hard to lose weight, hair loss, high cholesterol, infertility, weight loss resistance, especially around perimenopause in that midsection, fatigue that coffee doesn't fix, anxiety, depression, poor sleep, brain fog. These are just some of the symptoms of the women that I work with every single day. Let me tell you again, these symptoms are not normal. They are incredibly common, and every single one of you listening right now is probably thinking, oh, well, I didn't realize that anxiety isn't normal, or I didn't realize that brain fog isn't normal. Oh, it's just my age, or oh, it's got to be perimenopause. But let me tell you, even though they are common, they are absolutely not normal, and not normal as you age, and not normal as a woman, and not normal because you're in perimenopause or postmenopause. And when medicine doesn't have a pharmaceutical answer, it just gets labeled that. Just part of being a woman. That is not care, that is absolute gaslighting. So, I want to talk today about the reasons why women are so chronically sick. Reason number one, women are chronically stressed. Now, every single woman that I ever speak to, when I say, are you stressed? They go, no. And they think about it, and I can see them like really thinking about their day. And that's not exactly what I mean. Most women think they're not stressed unless they've got something really specific that they are stressed about. Now, that would be acute stress. Chronic stress looks like the constant pressure of being a perfect mom, being a supportive partner, the pressure of having a successful career, emotional availability, physically attractive, productive, selfless, grateful, and all of that at the same time. Let me tell you again that women are chronically stressed. I know this is not just anecdotal because 100% of the women that I work with struggle with thyroid dysfunction, adrenal dysfunction, cortisol imbalance, all things that point to chronic stress. And you know what? We could even layer in things like sexual assault. We could layer things in like abusive relationships. We could layer things in like childhood trauma. All of these things are what, if we suppress them, if we don't go get over them, if we don't address them, our nervous system hangs on and our body is chronically stressed, even if we don't feel it. In a previous episode of the 12 Days of Christmas, I talked about if we are not working on our nervous system, then we are not actually able to feel the difference between being in fight or flight mode and being in rest and digest mode. We want to know the difference because even as somebody is chronically stressed, they can often feel relaxed, but their body is still living in it. So let's zoom out for a second. Over 90% of people in North America are metabolically unwell. That is statistically true. That is not an individual failure. It is a systems failure. Okay, guys? This is not immediately your fault. Our system is not set up to keep us metabolically well. Point number two is the second reason why women are so chronically sick. Women are not built for a society designed for men. Let's say the quiet part out loud. Modern society was built for male biology. Women have cyclical hormones, monthly fluctuations, different stress responses, different recovery needs, yet we're expected to operate on constant output, constant productivity, constant stress with no pause, no rhythm, no recovery. And if we start to push back on that, we are considered difficult or lazy or selfish. And then we're confused when our bodies actually start to fight back. Your body isn't malfunctioning. It is responding to something we are not made for. Number 3, the reason why women are so chronically sick. The world we live in is incredibly toxic. So now you layer this in: our air, our water, our food, our products, the plastics, the pesticides, the medications. We cannot escape it every single day. So now you have chronic stress and chronic toxic exposure. This is a perfect storm. And your body can compensate and compensate and compensate until it can't. And this is why it all comes to a head around perimenopause. This is why so many symptoms start showing up after the age 40. But let me tell you, it's not because of age. So what you experience in perimenopause, the weight gain, the exhaustion, the sleep deprivation, the hormone fluctuations, the brain fog, the anxiety, the lack of confidence, this is not because of your age. This is because of decades of accumulation, stress accumulation, toxin accumulation. This is our detox systems starting to become dysfunctional because they are overwhelmed. Our sleep gets worse because our detox systems are overwhelmed and they're trying to work while we're sleeping. Our responsibility is higher than ever, and our hormone signaling becomes less forgiving at this point. This is not sudden, this is totally cumulative. Perimenopause does not create the problems that you are experiencing. It is exposing what you've already been struggling with for decades. That seems really dark, but here is the empowering part. It may have taken 40 years to accumulate this level of dysfunction, but it will not take 40 years to correct it. When you address the right systems, change can happen within months. So here's what actually works. I always want to give, if we're going to highlight the problem, I always want to give the solution. I hate when people highlight the problem and then you're left wondering, well, what the hell do you actually do? So this is what you actually have to do. First, you need to run the right labs. We are not talking basic blood work, although it can give some answers when in conjunction with the right labs. We are not listening to doctors who tell us our lab work looks normal. We're not listening to doctors when they tell us it's just your age. We are not listening to doctors who tell us we're fine or just go on XYZ medication. You need to know which system is actually slowing down, where stress is hitting you the hardest, how hormones are being metabolized, what your gut is doing, and where detox pathways are blocked. You cannot fix what you haven't identified. And trust me when I tell you, a pill from your doctor is not the fix. Second, you need appropriate workouts and nutrition. Every single person I've ever met and ever worked with thinks that nutrition and exercise are the be all end all, are the two most important pillars to your health. And yes, they are pillars, but they are only about 20% of the equation. You cannot expect to be doing punishing workouts and starving yourself in the name of discipline. Your body needs fuel, it needs recovery, stability, consistency, and it needs to be appropriate for where you are when it comes to your thyroid, your adrenals, and your cortisol. Third, you need accountability. I'm talking real accountability because healing in a system that made you sick requires support and guidance. And there is nothing weak about that. Here's the unpopular opinion. Western medicine is incredible at emergency care, but it is not designed for prevention, optimization, or root cause healing. Doctors are trained to diagnose disease. And if you've ever heard me on anybody else's podcast, I have had candid conversations with my family physician around the fact that her hands are completely tied when it comes to her looking for disease or her preventing it. They are not trained to rebuild your metabolism. They are not trained to help you to optimal health. And at this point, optimal health just looks like feeling good on a day-to-day basis. So when you're told everything looks fine by your doctor, but you feel awful, start searching for more answers and start believing in your body. If this episode feels like it's describing you, start with clarity. I've created a free metabolism assessment to help identify whether your symptoms and fat loss resistance are being driven by stress load, hormonal imbalance, gut dysfunction, mineral depletion, or metabolic adaptation. No judgment, just information. The link is in my show notes or in my bio on my Instagram. Women aren't weak. They're overburdened. under-supported, and expected to thrive in a system that ignores their biology. You're not broken, you are responding. And once you address the right things, your body remembers how to heal. When I see women day in and day out send me emails about how incredible they are feeling, about the weight they are losing, about the sleep they are getting, this is exactly why I do what I do, because our bodies are so intuitive, and somewhere along the way, we lost that. Tomorrow, we're talking about something most women don't ever expect to hear. If you're not happy, not hungry, or not horny, your metabolism is slow. Make sure you're following the show and come back tomorrow for the next episode of the 12 Days of Christmas Fat Loss Edition. I'll see you then.
If this conversation stirred something up in you, if you feel even a little more clear, more curious, or more inspired, share it. Send it to a friend who's been quietly wondering if the way she feels is just how it is now, and tag me on Instagram or LinkedIn at @MichelleScarlett_. I truly love hearing what lands for you. And if something came up during this episode, a question, a symptom, a story, email me directly at michelle@michellescarlett.com. I personally read every message, and I'll help you get clear on what you're dealing with and what to do next. You don't have to settle. You don't have to figure it out alone. This is your space to take your health, your life, and your success back into your hands.